Breach is a game blended together with many familiar game genres as the ingredients, such as MOBAs, dungeon crawlers, and shooters, resulting in an exciting third-person aRPG with many great PvP and PvE aspects. Four players are working together cooperatively to make their way through a series of dungeon rooms with mythological creatures standing in their way. QC Games, the creators of Breach, explain that every session is different, with the function to create your own character from a wide array of classes and endlessly customize their skills, equipment, and cosmetics. I got a chance to playtest the game during the alpha testing, and during this video I will be discussing the basics of the game and what I liked about it so far, in addition to what I'd like to see in the future for the game. Breach gameplay is similar to other 4v1 games such as Evolve or Dead by Daylight, but also vastly different. The base of the game is the party of 4 heroes versus the dungeon and the Veil Demon. The dungeon is static for each area, and so far there are a few areas, such as Kiev and Tokyo. The party must make their way through the dungeon, composed of different rooms with different objectives in them, to the final room where they must defeat the boss, or die trying. Each area is laid out in a uniform way, where each room has a specific objective the party must complete to get rewards and progress along in the dungeon. Each room is separated by a connected path, where players must venture through from the previous room leading into the next room where another challenge awaits them. For example, in the first room, you may have to survive and kill off 40 enemies in 1 minute. Then, once you travel to the second room, you are presented with the challenge of escorting 3 small artifacts that players can pick up, only one at a time, into a drop zone while enemies are biting at your ankles. This pattern continues until the final room where the heroes must defeat the final boss. All of these instances, the challenge in each room, traveling to the next room, and fighting the boss, are all on an extremely crucial time limit. If the players do not complete the challenge in the current room they are in time, they lose that current round and must hastily make it in one piece to the next room, because once a challenge is won or lost, the timer starts for the heroes to journey into the next challenge room. An important thing to note is that the challenge in the next room will start whenever the first hero sets foot into that room, or if the timer hits 0, whether the party is in there or not. So, all of this sounds pretty easy, right? Like your normal co-op dungeon crawler game that most of you are probably used to, except with a timer ticking down to pressure you into being efficient with your actions. That Veil Demon that we mentioned previously, his whole purpose and goal of the game and his avenue of victory is to prevent the heroes from winning by killing off the party. He can go about this in numerous ways, such as splitting up the team with walls or crowd control abilities, or possessing monsters or even summoning elite monsters to kill the party or split them up for easier control of them, or by setting traps such as an ice trap that roots you so you cannot move, or an electric wall that stuns any member of the party that walks into it. During the course of the game, the party of heroes can level up, as well as the Veil Demon. Leveling up grants bonuses that you can pick and choose between, based on the current gear that you have equipped on your character or Veil Demon. Some examples are, as a hero, you can choose a leveling up bonus where, on your next death, you are instead revived with a portion of your health. Or, if you go down during the dungeon run, you can use health potions that you acquire throughout the run to pick yourself back up out of the down state. The current Breach reward system and progression system of the game is more than likely familiar to many gamers. After the game, each participant gets various loot, such as different gear for characters that can change their in-game leveling bonuses, or gem shards that you can use to craft gems to gear your character with passive bonuses, as well as golden XP earned based on the results of the game. Equipment brings some interesting counterplay or strategies to the table. Are you a healer who wants to be able to revive others without the Veil Demon or monsters seeing you? Or are you a necromancer who wants to have a ton of skeletons at your disposal that you can sacrifice for damage bonuses or massive healing? Gems are a form of passive equipment that you can have on your character where you gain flat or percentage stats that fit your playstyle. If you're a tank, having damage resistance and healing receive might be a good idea. But if you're a long-range gunslinger, you might not want damage resistance, but instead might want to have some lifesteal or bonus damage on your attacks. The XP and gold are also extremely important in Breach, as they are in similar games. Currently, character XP is exceptionally potent, because at later levels you can pick and swap your skills out for other skills within the same school. I'll touch more on this later. Gold in Breach currently allows you to purchase commodities in the game, mainly other classes or equipment and gems for your classes, as well as different elite monsters summonable during play as the Veiled Demon. Now back to characters or classes. Currently, classes are one of the more unique things about Breach. Each class comes equipped with a set of 4 customizable skills, which include 3 normal skills and an ultimate skill that you must build up a charge on to use, as well as the class's signature skill. Each class is in its own group of what they're calling schools of magic. For example, in the Dark School, you can find the Lich, the Reaper, and the Necromancer class. The Lich is a tricky DPS unit with some survivability, Reaper is your generic tank with some self-healing capabilities, and the Necromancer is your usual swarm the enemy with your own summons class. Breach has intelligently divided each class into an archetype to help familiarize you with their functions. Tanks are represented with the shield icon, and they tend to soak up damage for your team by drawing aggro or locking down targets. Supports are represented by a healing cross icon, and they are your healers and team buffers. Assassins are represented with that dagger icon and are your main DPS. Some of them come with very handy tools such as invisibility and traps. And my favorite so far, specialists, are represented by that hand icon. From my experience, they are zone controllers and sort of pseudo DPSers with good crowd control abilities and AoE abilities. Now, back to the customizable classes aspect of Breach. Each class has the option to interchange their abilities with any other class in their School of Magic if the current level requirement for swapping the skill is satisfied. Here's an example. I leveled up my Demon Hunter and my Occultist, both from the Hedge School of Magic, to the level where they have the option to switch out their ultimate skills. My Demon Hunter, who is a DPS class with good damage and crowd control options that normally did not have access to a healing skill, now has the option to use the ultimate AoE heal ability for my Occultist. You can do many other things to further benefit and fine-tune your classes, such as throwing on a Get Off Me skill on your ranged DPS characters that deal heavy damage in an AoE to any unit in melee range of you. One thing to note is that the Veiled Demon can also exchange abilities within the Veiled Demon school. This could lead to some devastating Veiled Demon synergistic combos, where you could do things such as walling off an area and focusing on one player with beams and ray obelisks, while the other players must first spend time and resources to destroy the walls before helping their pal out. Now, this all might seem like a lot to take in, because it is. The customization is astounding, and that means that you and your party, or just you when you are the Veiled Demon, must pay close attention to what the enemy is using and plan accordingly, as well as what your team is using to cover all weaknesses. This is supported by being able to mouse over and view each hero's equipped skill and the Veiled Demons as well. And not only that, you must also pay attention to the map that you will be playing on, which is in the top left of the pregame screen, because each separate map will have the same room layout and room objectives every time. So maybe if you're part of the 4 heroes and you notice that the map you will be playing on has multiple kill all the enemies rooms, you can make sure to take at least 2 DPS units, or if you're the Veiled Demon and you notice that the map is very open and roomy, instead of taking the wall skills because they can just avoid them, you take skills that focus on possessing your minions and doing more damage that way. So that about wraps it up for the core of Breach's gameplay and functions. I'm going to go out of my way to first say that I enjoyed playing this game very much during the alpha testing. I love co-op games, and I have been enjoying them for many years. Working together with a team where you must strategize and think multiple steps ahead is amazing to me. I am also a huge fan of theory crafting builds and mix and matching abilities in games, and the way that Breach incorporates that aspect is awesome. I've already written down a few builds of my own that I plan on grinding towards and utilizing in the future of the game. Another thing I very much like is playing the bad guy in games. I like controlling the flow of the game and being sort of the dungeon master where you challenge other players to figure out how they are going to beat you. The Veil Demon was especially fun for me, and I always welcome a competitive challenge in video games. Now, with all of that being said, I clearly had some fun with Breach so far. Although, I do worry about a few things in the future for the longevity of the game. I admit, on the final weekend of alpha testing, I grew tired of playing the same maps over and over. I resorted to buying classes that I did not originally intend on playing just so that I could experience something new. I would love to see Breach have multiple options of queues that you can queue for, as well as a ranked option. Some ideas could be a boss raid mode where you fight a random string of final bosses together, a race mode where heroes would be divided into separate teams and must beat the other teams to finishing the dungeon, or even a mode where you could have the liberty to customize your own dungeon, which would include setting up what challenges would take place, the placing of monsters, and so on, and have others try to work together to beat your self-made dungeon while you play as the Veil Demon to stop them, of course. Games like Breach tend to require consistent content to be pushed out to remain relevant, and I would very much be into being introduced to a new dungeon, new classes, new monsters, and much more on a consistent basis. But that has to be kept up to maintain the interest of many players. I would like to imagine that QC has some sort of incentive or secret sauce to keep everyone interested, and I guess we will just have to wait and see what's in store. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you understand Breach and look forward to its release. If you enjoyed, then make sure to like the video and leave me a comment down below if you have any questions. And if you want to stay in the loop with me, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss any future content, such as streams and new videos. Catch me on Twitch at twitch.tv/dawv, that's DAWHV. I'll leave the link somewhere in the description and on the screen. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up for me. See ya.